Just want him to catch a mess, keep the pain through the hurt. Just want him to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just want him to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let him know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a mess, keep the pain through the hurt. Just want him to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just want him to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let him know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark come. Got me think about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if you sitting in a tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I done been there. One shot like stop. Shot I lost a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the thin air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the side when safe faith? I'm out, I'll stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life. See me, I still battle with a...
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Survivor Series. I'm your host, Higgy. The Survivor Series is an inspirational video series that we showcase people that have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to have and live a life of purpose and destiny. I have an amazing guest tonight. He's a dear friend of mine. Max Nijst is an author, an advocate. He's a podcast host. He's an entrepreneur. He's a motivational speaker. He's a man of God. He's a Navy veteran, my Navy brother. He has 19 years clean and sober, and he did it the old school, old-fashioned way through a 12-step fellowship. Well, we're gonna chop it up about recovery. We're gonna talk about some spiritual principles. We're gonna talk about whatever comes up. Max and I always have a great conversation. He's somebody you want in your corner. He's loved me through some very, very difficult and tough times. So I'm going to bring on my buddy, Max Nijst. If you're catching us live, please drop a hashtag live. If you're catching a replay, drop a hashtag replay. So with that, I'll bring you Max. What's up, bro?
What's going on, my brother?
How's that fearless happiness going on?
Oh, one day at a time. And, it's cool that you said that, right? Because I put a post out yesterday or the other day where I felt like something the cat drug in, right? Like after it played with it, killed it, drug it in the house and said, here's a present, right? And I asked that question, like, no matter how bad things may get or challenges you go through, like, what are you grateful for today, right? And that was one thing that I was taught early on, right? If you're not grateful today, what day are you waiting on? And
absolutely.
And my story, Higgy. I've been through some crazy stuff in my recovery. You were one of the people when I get to see again, give a big hug, because Higgy was there at a time when I lost a sister, my brother, right, would lose his battle to addiction and commit suicide. My mom would literally die of a broken heart 6 months later. And then, as some of you know, as recently as almost 4 years ago now, I would lose a granddaughter. And then on my way to work, my son has a massive stroke at 30 and I almost die. And I remember sitting in the car, right, doing a live and talking to my friends and giving you guys updates. And remember, I was getting a message from Aaron, check your messages. And, I'm like, I'm putting myself out there and being really vulnerable. And I'm like looking at this, like, what are you doing? Like, can't you see I'm trying to like give an update? And then I check my messages and Higgy and people I haven't met, but this is how our recovery community works.
Absolutely.
Put me up in a room for 3 days so I didn't have to sleep in my car as my son was going through this. And that is something I'll never forget. You know what I mean? As long as I live. And it's just been, recovery is the best thing that's ever happened, but I've gone through some of the most craziest stuff or some of the most challenging times in my recovery, right? But here's the thing. When I got serious about staying sober and staying clean, right, I haven't looked back. And not even that time did I ever think about going, hey, getting high sounds really good. You know what I mean? Or right? I leaned on my friends like Higgy. I leaned on my friends like Aaron and all of you that are on this live right now. And just
good evening, Dwayne Louder from Radical Online Radio. Love you, brother.
Hey, Dwayne, what's going on, buddy? Hi, Mindy. So yeah, I'm a big proponent, as they say, of gratitude. You always see me posting a gratitude
Absolutely.
every morning. It just right because that's my antidepressant is staying in gratitude. So
How hard is it to practice that on a daily basis?
um well, okay, see, so give you a little background, right? So when I got sober and then I decided to stay clean and sober, about year 5, I started going through this serious depression. Like I couldn't even understand it myself, right? I was like this robot. I would go to work, I would go home, and I would crawl in my room and I'd crawl up in a fetal, and curl up in a fetal position. And I couldn't figure out why I was feeling that way, right? I was sober 5 years. I had a girlfriend at the time. We had our own place.
Hi,
I
Paul.
had I had my kids. Yeah, hey Paul. Um,
Congratulations, 1375 days clean today from meth. Congratulations, bro.
nice. I had my kids back in my life and I couldn't figure out why I was feeling this way, right? Because I didn't want to live. Like that was as close to relapsing again as I got, right? Because I was like, I don't know how to feel this way. It's it's messing with me, right? But then I did what I was supposed to. I went to my sponsor and he says, grab me that book, and of course it's the big book. He goes, let me see that book. He goes to the page and he says, oh yeah, you see this? It says, even us alcoholics seek outside help if we need it.
Mhm.
Duh. Okay. So I went to my
Okay.
doctor. Yeah, I went to my doctor, who sent me to a psychiatrist and found out I suffer from clinical depression.
Wow.
And that was the first time I was introduced to antidepressants. Right. I religiously took mine as prescribed for a long time. Right, and it worked. But one thing my sponsor said, and some of my mentors, is start a gratitude journal. Right, because now your brain, after all those years on meth and alcohol and all the other drugs you did, right, it's catching up to you, right, and it's finally saying, "Ha, I got you. I caught up to you. Let's see what I can do now." And so I started this gratitude thing about 15 years.
We mask those symptoms of mental illness with our substance abuse, right?
Absolutely, self-medication, right? Whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's PTSD, whatever the case may be, right? And for me, it was depression, right? And I had realized I've been doing that for years with the meth and the alcohol,
Yes.
right? I couldn't put a finger on it, right? I felt bad, so I'll know what makes me feel better, right? And
Yes.
then we know how we start that vicious cycle, right? We don't want to feel that way again, so we have to keep getting more and more and more, and before we know it, we're hooked, right? And we're
Absolutely.
addicted. And that's like with any addiction, right? And that's like food, sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling, right? Anything. And so I was suggested to start this
Hi, Bobby.
gratitude journal, right? Because oh, hey, Bobby, Mindy.
950 days freedom from active addiction and recovery is possible. Amen, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. One day at a time, right? And see, this for you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is a simple thing you can do, and you could start it today, right? Because we all know, the crazy thoughts that go through our head on a daily basis, especially new in recovery.
Absolutely.
Here's my suggestion, right? You go get a composition book, right? You buy it at the 99-cent store. Starting tomorrow morning, you wake up, you write 3 things you're grateful for, right? And then at night, before you go to bed, you write 3 new things you're grateful for. And then the next day has to be totally different from the day before. And you have to do that for at least 2 weeks where it's totally different. I've been doing this gratitude journal thing for the last 15 years, ever since I went through that depression, because I vowed never to feel that way again.
That's
So,
awesome.
but here's the thing though, Higgy, right? Is I have my moments, right? I have been medication free now for almost 4 years, right? Because my medication stopped working. And I had a conversation with my wife one night, and she goes, yeah, I noticed you're not depressed, but you're not happy, right? You're just kind of there. Like you just are flat. And I said, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. So I went to my doctor and I said, Doc, I want to get off these meds. And I did it the right way, did it slowly and as he prescribed it. And now I've been off my antidepressants for 3 going on 4 years, right? And I feel better than I ever have, right? But here's the thing, right? We all know in recovery, we got to do mind, body, and spirit, right? So I got to keep putting good things into my brain, right? So I don't read anything that's gonna. I don't even watch the news anymore, right? Because we know how that depressing that could get,
Sure.
right? Exercise, right? I haven't lately because I don't feel good, but I try to exercise every day. CrossFit, take a walk with my wife, something, right, to get the blood flowing. And then my spirituality. And right, for me, being reintroduced to God through the 12 steps, He has been my guide and mentor since I got sober on September 27, 2003. And I haven't looked back. And right. And that's the only way I got through some of that stuff that I went through that you got to witness, Higgy. And
Right.
like, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
absolutely not. They say a grateful heart will never find the need to pick up a substance to numb the pain ever again.
yeah. And if I can say that I'm living proof, I am, because like when my brother took his life, right? I was in Denver, Colorado when that happened, right? I got a call from my older brother, everybody, and it was like, my brother's gone. And I'm like, what do you mean he's gone? Where do you go? Take a ride on his Harley or go take his family camping? Because that was what my brother used to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when my brother said, no, he hung himself, we lost our brother. Like, I broke down in the middle of a Denny's and I cried my eyes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be sitting next to a big window, right? And right outside the window was a big billboard, right? That said, we have the best marijuana and we deliver. So you talk about just going like, I looked at that sign and I go, I got to call my sponsor, man. Right. And I did. But you guys all know that are on this live tonight, right? Like I could have, my ex fiance at the time, she was a normie, right? I could have said, hey, why don't you go to the room? We're going to stay here tonight. I'm going to go get us something to eat and I'll be back. Yeah. And you all know how that would have went. I would have went to the local dive bar. I would have either had that, the neon sign saying he wants drugs, or I would have had my radar out going, hey, I know where I can get it. That
Absolutely. We recognize those people, right?
Exactly. Or they recognize us, right? But yeah, I just try to live a life of gratitude. It's not perfect, but I believe I have the perfect life. I have, I've had Higgy at my home. He's got to meet my beautiful wife and my family.
I got to go with you when you visited your son in the hospital when he was recuperating from the overdose,
the stroke. Yeah, that's right. And that's right. I forgot. That's right. We were doing lives on the way to work when you was coming. My wife would call me, man, you and Higgy better stop doing that live while you're driving. I'm going to kill you both. But Higgy knows, right? Like I don't have anything I really complain about because I own a home, right? I have my family. My son's healthy and sober now. He survived that stroke. Shoot, we just had a grandbaby for me, number 10, a week before Christmas. So it's like, right? I'm a grandpa at 10, right? What's there not to be grateful for?
The blessings of recovery, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my wife brought me home Starbucks, as you all can see. I'm not trying to make you jealous, but this is the byproduct of staying sober.
More blessings of recovery. So
Right.
I was reading. I read your posts every day, and it is focused on gratitude. I read your writing is getting better every day.
Oh, thank you, sir.
From when you started, Fearless Happiness was a great book. I was reading in one of your recent posts that a formula for 90 days to success. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Which one are you talking about? Be more specific if you can, so I can.
Just reaching your goals, staying clean and sober.
Well, here's the thing, right? So my foundation has always been the 12 steps, right? And as I look back when I like accomplishing, oh yeah, my post is if you want to kick alcohol or drugs, or at least be on the road to recovery, I'm not giving you the cure, right? But I can help you on that path, right? And we know not everybody loves the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. Higgy and I, we love it. Yes. And I've been there for Higgy, and he knows, I know there's times when he's ignored my call because he knows I'm going to stick my foot up his butt per se and go, what are you doing?
Right.
Right. That has been my foundation, right? But after 19 years of being sober and working with literally thousands of clients, Hig,
Yep.
um, I've learned to just like, okay, what's gonna work best to get people on the track to recovery, right? I love the 12 steps, don't get me wrong, but as you know, Higgy, because now you're working at, not everybody goes, I want to do the 12 steps. Actually, you might get the finger and say, I am not doing those things, right? Because
I don't believe in that shit.
exactly, right. You're not going to tell me I have to believe in a God, and I'm definitely not going to a meeting and listen to everybody's, war stories, right? Because the time I done listening to that, I'm going to want to leave and go get drunk or go get high and blah blah blah. So I've just kind of broken things down into like we have to admit we have a problem, right? Or we're not going to figure out what that solution could be, right? Because whatever that is for my client, right? As long as I can get them, her or him to admit, okay, I have an issue with whatever. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be gambling, right? Now we can start working towards a path or that solution, right? Which is okay. I like to say like admitting that problem or surrendering to win. You've probably heard this. I know you've heard it from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where a lot of people, especially us males, right, who have been to jail or prison or ran the streets, we're like, we don't surrender to nobody, right?
That's right. We interpret that as being weak, right?
Right.
And
So,
you and I are both veterans, and that's not something we're taught while we're in the military.
well, absolutely, right. In the military, surrender is not even supposed to be in your vocabulary, right?
That's right.
So what I get my clients to do or the people I work with is just surrender to the fact that this thing's got a hold of you, whatever it is, right? And now that you admit that, we can work towards a solution. And then that I put it back on them, right? As an accountability partner. Okay, right? You want to do this or you want to do that, whether it's mindfulness, right? I teach mindfulness, or someone says, I do want to go to meetings, but I need someone to kick me in the butt when I'm not going. I'm that guy that will say, hey, did you go to a meeting today? Right? No. Oh, that means you're getting in your car on your way to a meeting, right? So I'm like the guy that will be like the nag on.
Uh-huh.
And then 3, right? I come up with 5 things. 3 is to start developing those goals that you want to accomplish, right? Right. So instead of focusing on the stuff we did when we were in our addiction or whatever, right, which we're good at, I was really good at, right?
Hi, Genesee.
Oh, she's been sober since 12/23 2/20. I love it. 2020.
2020.
So then we start working on those goals, right? Just like we would teach them in say treatment, right? The SMART goals. We'll get specific. What is the goal you want? Let's start at one goal and start working towards that goal, right? Because then it gives the client something to work towards, right? Right. Instead of just going, oh, I got to meet with Max on that.
What are SMART goals?
Specific, measurable, right? Attainable, realistic, and time measured, right? Because you don't want to have a goal where you go, okay, I can accomplish this whenever I feel like it'll never get done.
Right.
Right. So we have to have goals that are very specific. For instance, it's like, I want to get 30 days. Okay. So what are we going to do to get you to 30 days sober? Right. And then I'll work on, that's when this mind, body, spirit thing works in for me or for them. Right. I'll say, okay, if you get a craving, I want you to go out and take a walk. If it's people that are going to meetings, then okay, go to a meeting, right? And then call me back and tell me what you learned from that meeting. Right. And I don't want you to focus, right? Because you've all heard it, right? When I work with clients, if they're going to meetings, I really want them to focus on the similarities, not the differences.
Right.
I know that's cliche. We all hear that in the meetings, but it's so true. If I would have stayed stuck on, well, you didn't go to jail and you never lost your business and your family, right? Then how am I going to relate to you, right?
Right.
But even guys like that, if you listen to their stories, there's going to be parts to it where you go, oh man, that was me. I get it. Right?
I was telling my clients today, as a matter of fact, we were discussing self-sabotaging behaviors. And they were all sharing, and I pointed out that, what you hear, look for something you can relate to, because if you find yourself comparing, that creates space for a reservation.
Right. And we all know what reservation means, right?
I have never been that bad as that guy. Find
Right.
something you relate to. Take what you want or need, and leave the rest.
Exactly. And if I would have did that with my sponsor, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, right? Because we're totally two opposite people. The only thing we had in common is that methamphetamine was our drug of choice.
Sure.
Right. Right. But he's been my sponsor now going on 20 years. And I'll forever be grateful for that man for saving my life and showing me how to, go after the goals I wanted to, that to be specific. And for instance, you said like I had a client that said, I want to stop this self-sabotaging behavior. Like, because I'll get so far that all of a sudden something in my mind will click and say, I'm not good enough. Right. And then they'll start working towards that relapse. Right.
Sure.
And we all know it, right? People will tell us that when we're in that, I saw you relapse before you even took that drink or drug.
I know.
Yeah.
Imagine, in hindsight, I can see it as well.
Right. And what are some of those self-sabotaging behaviors, right? It could be like, for instance, you and I, right? We stopped going to meetings, right?
Congratulations, Mindy.
11. Oh yeah, congratulations.
1/11/2018 by the grace of a power greater than myself.
Amen.
Amen.
Right. So we have to start being more aware. That's why I work with clients, whether it's in the treatment setting or my private clients. I always say, be aware of how you're feeling, right? Your mind, your body, right? It's like being sick right now, right? I could have easily told Higgy, you know what? I don't feel good. I think, can we pass and do this another day? Right. But sometimes we got to do things we don't want to do. But I love doing this with you. Don't get me wrong. But here's how it went for me. And this is the only way I can give you guys an example of how it worked for me. Right. So, right. As we know, as we're getting sober, right. And we put our body through that hell that we put it through. Right. I had to start getting my body moving and getting it healthy, right? Because here's what happened. My mind started to follow, right? So slowly that negative self-talk started to get out of my head because my body was feeling good, right? I was putting healthy food in my body. I was exercising, right? I may not be the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the world, but hey, something is...
Me either, but I find that exercise helps me immensely for stress relief, just overall a feeling of well-being. I don't feel like I have all these emotions trapped in me. Like procrastination is a self-sabotaging behavior for me,
Yep.
and reprioritizing things, losing my sense of priorities. What's really important in my life? So, this thing today will be more, and then the shuffle begins, and then I just feel so you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So like working towards those goals, right, and say that be one of them. And then the next thing I like to work on is starting to change that mindset, right? I'll ask my clients, right? I have a client right now. She takes a picture and she'll send me a picture of her mirror. She's doing I am statements every night.
Beautiful.
Right. At first she was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Right.
Self-affirmations, right?
Yeah. Like I am, like I gave her an example. I am enough, right? Was her first one. Right. And then the next one, she started, now half of her mirror is full of I am. And I said, they all have to be different. Right. I like what Genesee says. Some don't realize you get serotonin and dopamine naturally when you work out, and it's a natural high.
Exactly.
Absolutely, right? That's how I choose to get my high now when I'm working out, Genesee, right? Excuse me if I sound nasally, but then it's the mindset. We got to start working on what are you putting into your brain, right? So I don't know if a lot of you know who Andy Frisella is, right? He owns a big supplement company, right? Multi-millionaire, owns multiple companies, but that's his main thing. It's First Form Supplement Company. And he had this challenge, right? It's called 75 Hard.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
So I don't do this with my clients, right? Because if I brought up 75 hard, half of them might fire me right at that point and say, "Oh, this is the wrong guy for me," right? But this is what I did for myself, right? So, and if they do, then I coach them like, "Yeah, you can do it," right? But so 75 hard is 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes. One has to be outside. And the only reason you don't do an outside workout is if it's lightning or there's an earthquake and the earth has swallowed you whole, right? Um, and then you have to drink a gallon of water a day, right? You have to stick to a diet, whether it's intermittent fasting, keto, paleo, right, or clean eating. It's got to be a healthy diet. And then the other thing is no alcohol, right? Which is easy for guys like us or people like us who are sober. You have to take a progress picture every morning, and then you have to read 10 pages of personal development every day. So if you miss half a paragraph, you start over. If you drink like an ounce short of water, you start over. And I went through it 3 times before I got it through. But
It's about accountability, right?
yeah, it's a what do you call it? It's not necessarily a physical fitness program, but it's for the mind. It's a mind program. It's to help you realize how powerful your mind is when you stick. But he's got 3 other uh there's 3 after 75 hard, there's 3 30-day other programs that you it's similar, but they're only 30 days long, but it's a year-long program. I haven't done the other 3 yet, but it's tough. 75 hard alone is tough.
Yes. For seven, you may be able to do something like this for 30 days, but to push it into 60 days and get that extra 15 days at the end, the amount of consistency and the mindset that you have to maintain during that has got to raise the bar on what you feel that you can do, right?
Absolutely, right? So when we start to strengthen our body and our mind, right, and we have some accountability, then we can start really like focusing like what's in like you said it perfectly. You're like what's a really a priority in our lives, right? What's most important, right? Right? Because you and I we could go off to the right, and realize, oh, that's not important, or off to the left, right? Which
Mhm.
right, and be able to stay focused. So it's more of a mindset game. And then the last thing, right, which is for all of us, is I think all of us here who are sober and working programs, right, we understand that having a higher power or a power greater than ourselves, right, is important, right? God has guided me through this, but I know people who have done like mindfulness, right, and studied mindfulness, and
Define that real quick for someone that doesn't know what that is.
so like what I do a mindfulness practice, right? I always hey, there's Pam. Hey, Pam.
Hi, Pam.
So mindfulness, what it really is all about is just being present in the moment, right? Not focusing on what happened yesterday or what's going to happen in the future, right? So like for instance, in a mindfulness meditation, right?
Hi,
We
Pat. Pastor Pat's in the house.
Hey, good evening, Pastor Pat. In mindfulness, we don't have to be perfect, right? In
Right.
our meditation, right? So part of the meditation allows us to have those thoughts, but it tells us to, okay, acknowledge the thought and then let it go,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. Not like we don't have to be like I say the Tibetan monks that do that thing all day long, like 8 hours a day. All they do is, oh, you know what I mean? Um, some people can do it, but if you're like Higgy and I, who's got ADD brains, mindfulness is perfect, right? Because it doesn't tell us we're doing something wrong because we let these thoughts in our brains while we're meditating. And it just helps us to be more aware of our thoughts, our feelings, um, and be more present for the people around us, right? Because if you focus on from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, right, and you wake up sober, right, you go throughout your day, say you're practicing mindfulness, you're going to your meetings, and you went to bed sober, that's a perfect day in recovery. And if you have harmed no one in the process, you've had a
Absolutely.
perfect day in recovery, right? Like, and that's all that's asked of us, right? We just do our best, and right, and that's how I work with people that right don't want to go to meetings. I do a lot of mindfulness work with them to help with their anxiety, with depression, or I'm not a therapist, but definitely if they have some trauma or some PTSD, well, I'll always guide them to a therapist that can help them through that stuff. Right.
That's beautiful. Pat, Pam, it's good to see you in the comments. Genesee, thank you for chiming in. You've got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to physical fitness, and she's been sober for quite a while as well. I think you're a trainer, aren't you, in Wisconsin? She's up there with Steffi.
Oh, okay. I like what she says, like a wave coming in and then rolling back out, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And that's why I tell people I work with that are like new to meditation, just remember, you can't take your next breath until you let the last one go. Right.
That's great.
Right. And just do the best you can and be as present as you can as possible, as much as possible. Right. Says I worked through the first. That's a great app, isn't it? Genesee. She says I worked the first form app. And
what is that?
It's an app that Andy Frisella put out. It's a fitness app, right? It helps you with food, exercise. See, and here's where I learned, like, not only do I have my mentors in the program, right, that I look up to that have showed me that how they walk the walk and talk the talk. I look outside that recovery community, right, for other people who are very successful. So that guy, Andy, I was telling you about, oh, you work for the supplement company. I love it. Like that Andy talks about in his career, right? Like, you hear about these people that are supposedly an overnight success, right? He goes, his first 10 years in the business of supplements, he made $50,000. That's total for 10 years.
It took him 10 years to be an overnight success, right?
Absolutely, right. And he talks, that's right, I am first form. I love it. But he talks about how he bought a mattress that had a pee stain on it, right? And he put it in the back of his office, slept on that thing, basically lived out of his store, and that him and his partner for 10 years didn't make really any money. And there was days he had to borrow money, right? My point is, this is like recovery, right? Don't ever give up on yourself. If you fall down, you get yourself back up, brush yourself off, and keep going, right? Exactly, right? And Hagee knows, I know, right? I wasn't perfect. I relapsed 4 times. Know that the people that truly care and love about you in the program are not going to shun you and go, oh my God, you can't stay sober. I can't talk to you, right? They're going to be sitting there with open arms and say, you're back. We love you. Keep coming back. Right?
That's right. I found that I found myself coming back from relapse apologizing. And the people that love me said, you don't owe me an apology. You owe yourself an apology. And what did you learn? What did you learn this time?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't come back with, was it any better out there?
No, I might have said, how's that working for you? Right. And then he might have said, F you, Max. That's what I always ask. Excuse me. That's always what I've asked any of my friends. Right. And Higgy here included. Right. It's like, okay, what did you learn from that? What can you do different? Yes. I love you, bro. I'm here for you. My phone's always on. Don't hesitate. Call me before the drink or the drug, right? But of course, right, we're stubborn addicts and alcoholics. And then by the time we've done that, we're like, damn, I should have called. But I ain't calling now because I'm too fucked up. Excuse my language, everybody. But you know what I mean? That's what gone through my head.
Yeah, for sure. Well, once we've committed to that thought, there's nobody that can stop you but yourself.
Right. So here's my take on that, right? It's easier to stay sober
than
to get sober. And Higgy will tell you, man. And he's called me and showed me like, yeah, dude, it wasn't great, right? You know what I mean? And that's
it was far less than great.
Right. And I would just, like I said, I'd say, hey, I love you, Hig. I'm here for you. But yeah, the only thing I'd ever say to him is, what did you learn from this experience? Like, what can you do different? Right? How can I help? Right? Because there's nothing like one alcoholic, one addict helping another, period. I believe that in my heart of hearts. That's what got me through. That's got me where I am today with 19 years sober.
When's your anniversary again?
September 27th of 2003 of this year will be 20 years.
20 years, 2 full decades of being clean and sober and saying no 1 minute at a time at times.
Oh, trust me, I've been at that one. Well, here's the thing. Higgy's been there to hold my hand at one of those, those moments by moments. And um, like I said, it was good to know that there was people out there that didn't even know me, supported me from afar. You know what I mean? Because they knew the struggle. And like Higgy was the conduit, like him and Aaron, I was talking, and Dave, and I mean, there was people from, remember, all over the country that were watching
Absolutely.
my lives and asking how my son was doing.
Doing the
And
updates. Yep.
yeah, and you know what I mean? And for me, there's nothing like the fellowship of any of the programs, right? I love them all. I have a brother who will be celebrating 40 years clean in NA this December. 40 years. I
40
still,
years.
I always tell
Wow.
him, you're lying, bro. Like, you don't have to, you can quit lying. I
You don't
got your
have to
back.
lie to kick it anymore.
And he just laughs and he just says, keep doing what you're doing, bro. You'll get there one day.
Keep coming
Um,
back, right?
but this journey of recovery has been, you know what I mean? Genesee will tell you, Pam will tell you, and Mindy, everybody on here so far tonight will tell you, if you stick with it, it's the best thing that you will ever, it's the best gift you will ever give yourself, is this gift of recovery.
Congratulations, Pam. You're a huge inspiration for us out here.
That's right, Pam. But I steal this, like when I work with clients too, like if I'm in the treatment setting, right? From our good friend Johnny Wyrick, right?
Yeah.
I said, I don't care what you do, AA, NACA, or AAA. Just do something and don't do it alone, right? There's so many of us out here that will help you if you just give us a chance and give yourself a chance. So, it could be an amazing thing. It's opened up doors for me. Like I thought I wrote a book. Like I said, I've got good friends here that are here on the call tonight or on the live, gaining some new friends. So it's just amazing what happens when you learn how to get rid of those self-sabotaging behaviors. You know what I mean? And give yourself a break. Here's what my sponsor taught me after that, the day I relapsed the last time. He said, forgive yourself, God already has.
Right.
And for some reason it clicked, like, oh, I'm not God, I don't have to, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
There
Yep.
is a God and it's not me, right? And it clicked for me that day, and I haven't looked back, right? And like I said, I've gained some really good friends like Higgy here, and some people here like Pam and Pastor Pat, and the people I'm getting to know like Genesee and Mindy and Bobby, I saw that was on here. So yeah, if there's anything I could answer, if there's any questions, you know what I mean? Like I can help you with.
I just want to thank everyone that's on here who's going to see this live, that stays with us throughout. I'm rebuilding my social media platform. I was hacked in October of last year, and I lost 230,000 followers. So I'm rebuilding. It's not an easy process, but we're doing it. I appreciate everyone that shares the content, shares our lives, comments, just it makes this recovery journey so much better. And it's a beautiful thing to pull yourself out of that pit of hell and self-loathing and disgust, and find you actually really do have a purpose, and that I am my own worst enemy.
Right? Just remember, when they say, when you're pointing the finger at someone, you always got three pointing back at you. So, and
Absolutely.
one thing I love to say to any of my recovery family or people trying to get sober is like, look, we're no different. We're doing this together, side by side. No one walks in front, no one walks in back. We do this together. That's how it is.
That's
Yep.
right.
Life is amazing when you learn
Self-love.
self-love. Exactly. Got to have some self-love, right?
Absolutely. How can you love anyone else properly when you don't love yourself, right?
And that's been hard.
And you've been married for how long now?
Shoot, 6 years this coming July.
Good for you, bro. That's another blessing of recovery. 10 grandchildren. You have your own business. You do coaching. You do mentoring. You do podcasting. You do public speaking. You write books.
I was hoping I wanted to write a book this year, but plan on a book coming out next year. I'm gonna
Okay.
make that a promise to myself, and because I wanted to get book number 2 going here pretty soon.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's
One
tragic.
family, one journey. I love that,
Yes,
Pastor
I
Pat.
love that, Pastor Pat. So we lost a dear veteran brother, Brendan, last year. You two were going to collab on a book.
Absolutely. We were um yeah, that was a tough one, right? And I know that guy.
Hi,
See, I had
Johnny
known,
Childress.
hey Johnny, what's up, brother? But it just says, well, looky, look, we have a confirmed Hickey and Max sighting. I love it. Yeah, we were gonna collab on writing a book. Because I had met Brennan years ago, right, through my sponsor's place, and I was his sponsor for a while. And then, but it was the cool thing is we were friends first, right? And no matter when he would disappear, he always knew he could call me and we could talk and I'd be there for him, right? And we actually became really good friends, right? And then he found sobriety through Christ and through church, and he worked really hard. And he still struggled once in a while, but he had a lot of physical stuff that he was going through, right? Like concussions
Mm,
and and yeah, we were doing lives and having fun with them, and we were like roasting each other on these. We were just having like two brothers just going at each other, having fun.
sure.
And then one day, right, it was like I saw a post from his mother that he was gone, and I was like, I just talked to him like the night before, 2 nights before, and
Mhm.
he was really on a mission, not only to help others find recovery, right? However that looked like, but our veteran brothers and sisters who were struggling with PTSD, and he started a nonprofit called A Journey to the Light, which helped veterans, right, that had PTSD or whatever, find the resources they needed, or help them find treatment if they were struggling with addiction. And he had written a book, and he poured it out there, and unfortunately, his life was cut short. God called him home early,
It was
and
so unexpected too. I had scheduled him for a speaking engagement in his home state of Wisconsin, and he passed away like 2 weeks prior. Just
I was actually going to come out there and
devastating.
surprise you guys.
Oh,
Well, he called me up. He says, "Just come out here, stay with me, and we'll go to that speaking gig together." And I was going to surprise you guys and go,
oh,
and then that happened, and I was like, "Oh." So, but you know what? This is, he was a true soldier of Christ, and he loved um he loved helping people. That guy was such a big giver, right? And a lot of us here are the same way. I think God calls us to get sober because he knows in our hearts that we are go-givers. I like to say, I learned that from my friend Chris Whitehead, but we sometimes we give so much we forget about ourselves. And it is okay to make sure that you take care of you, because if you don't
yeah.
take care of your house or keep your house in order, how are you going to help other people? And that was one thing that I had to look at myself at times, and right, I have to make sure I balance my life, with my family, with work, and helping others, and just it's all about just putting one foot in front of the other and doing the next right thing. and
Right. Being
and
mindful of where your energy level is, and being mindful of your priorities and keeping your priorities in check, and
absolutely.
not ad-libbing and throwing extra shit in there that doesn't need to be there. I'm so good at
Yeah.
that.
Okay, if we all could see everybody, right, and we said, who here has done that, we'd all raise our hands, right? Because how many times you said, I need to rest, I'm going to do, and then someone calls, hey Higgy, I need you to help me do this, and you're tired, and you go, okay, and then
Yeah.
you hang up, and then you're like,
Why,
oh, why did I
why did
do
I
that
do
for?
that?
We're all guilty of it, right?
Being able
But
to
it
reel yourself back in. It's okay to
right,
say no, right?
absolutely. You want to hear something?
I do.
No is a complete sentence.
Correct.
We don't have to explain ourselves, right? We no is a complete sentence. I mean, it's always great to help people, but there's a time you're going to have to say no and just take it easy. And you
Or not right now.
absolutely. And what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if you're pouring from an empty cup, eventually you fall down, and you're
I
not gonna be happy.
dismissed that when people told me that's just an old, outdated analogy. But if you think about it, it's so true.
It's very true,
You're
right?
pouring nothing into nothing because you have nothing.
That's right.
Did you
What Pam says,
did
Max, I say that quite frequently. That's right.
did you
Pastor Pat says, amen. Rest is a must.
Pat and I are nappers.
I can. What I can, I do.
Did you clock out?
I did.
Okay.
I
I
did.
wanted to make sure.
Oh,
Try to be
man.
a good support for you.
Well, let me ask you this, Higgy, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been through some stuff together. At least I've watched you put yourself through some. I like I say the spin cycle, right?
Oh, yeah.
What have you? Let's tell everybody, like, what have you learned this past time that is going to be different for you this time, like going forward? Like, what is some of the things that you're going to do differently so that you don't fall back into that same pattern of like give, 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 and
Right.
then Higgy disappears.
Right. Well, I'm implementing physical fitness into my regimen, making time to do something every day. I'm doing everything we have just talked about. Saying no is a huge thing for me. I eat right. I've lost 60 pounds, probably over 60 pounds at this point. I'm taking care of my mind, body, and spirit religiously. Staying spiritually connected, trying to stay as spiritually fit as possible. And when I don't feel right, I'm calling and talking to my sponsor or other people that are familiar with me. People I associate these days, I associate with people that will tell me the truth about myself, no matter if it hurts my feelings or hurts theirs, that the brutal honesty is key for me. I need someone that's going to tell me the truth, that's not going to use my feelings against me or take advantage of me. I'm mending a broken heart from multiple scenarios. Losing Matt was very hard, man.
Yeah.
My best friend, and you know Matt. He was out in California in treatment with you, and
Yep.
we were supposed to be doing this together. We were supposed to be doing the radio show together. I'm taking things slower because I finally got it through my thick head that it's better to make slow progress than to keep starting over from scratch.
Bingo.
And the key is to stay alive,
Right.
and not self-medicate myself when I'm in pain. Look at the cause, see if I can find the root cause. If I'm feeling some kind of way or I'm angry, there's a reason for it that usually emanates from within me. And I'm highly critical of myself, and I'm harder on myself than anyone else ever could be. So I'm learning about self-love, what love really, self-love looks like, and how to maintain that. And what I found out is I'm not a bad person. I'm actually a decent fella.
Yeah, that's why we all love you.
Thank you. And then the positive self-affirmations has been good for me as well. I'm actually writing, taking notes. I'm practicing what I preach because the biggest, most important thing that I've learned is that I know the program of recovery. I can tell people how to recover, but I've never consistently lived the program through the spiritual principles. I've never done that consistently, and I can identify that those times and points in my life when I fall off. I get disconnected, and when I'm disconnected from God. I'm disconnected from you and everyone else. Right. And I feel unworthy and unloved and not capable of feeling or deserving of love of any kind.
Right. And Genesee says it real great right there. I've learned to pause and allow myself to feel emotions and meditate.
I teach my clients about practicing the pause. There's
Absolutely.
very few things in this life that demand an instant response.
Right. And that's why I'm big with my clients, um, especially my private runs, right? Is
Thank you,
because a
Pat.
lot of the ones, they're hard to get to try to do this, but that gratitude journal and I am statements every day,
So
every day.
when I was doing gratitude lists, I got kind of bored with it because I kept writing the same things over and over again. Or, I'm grateful for indoor plumbing or something like that,
It doesn't matter though. Here's the thing, right? You've seen me. I've done this for almost, well, how long you know me on? Like I've done. If you look back on my personal page, I've done a form of gratitude post for the last year, maybe 2 years,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? And a lot of them are different, but of course, over time, you go back and you revisit some of them. But I
To
don't
just be
care,
honest about it and try
right?
to make it something, find something different every day. It's mindfulness, right?
Absolutely, right? Because it doesn't matter if it's simple, like, hey, I woke up this morning.
That's something to be
I
really grateful for.
right. I have my vision, right? I can walk, right? Like at night, and it's sometimes for me, it's like, okay, I spent quality time with my wife when she got home. I played with my dogs. And for me, it's like I played with my grandkids, you know what I mean? Or I talked to my son, the one who almost died of a stroke, right? Like there's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to make it complicated. That's why I keep it three things. Do three things in the morning. Because here's the facts about that. That's not just a recovery thing, right?
You're programming yourself, right? To
It's a
seek
neuroscience
gratitude.
thing. Well, it's a neuroscience thing too. Neuroscience has proven when you put things into your brain when you first wake up and when you go to bed, it will actually build new neural pathways in your brain so
God,
that you start
I
to,
need that.
right? So you start to see the world in a more positive light. You see yourself in a positive light and you see others in a more positive light. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? But you got to do it. I've been doing this for 15 years. And it wasn't always easy either. There's days I was like, I'm grateful. I'm going to throw this composition book across the room in a minute. Like, you know what I mean? We all have our moments, but then I think about it, right? Like I was given this gift of recovery,
That's right,
right?
Genesee. Set the attention for the day.
Absolutely. I set mine every morning, right? I have 5 a.m. Like nobody's up. It's my time. Um, and I pray, meditate, and I do my gratitude journal. And it's just, you know what I mean? It has changed my life. And if it's, I mean, it's a simple thing to do, but it's hard to stay consistent with it if you're not serious. But excuse me, yeah, check out Ann Bascamp prompts for gratitude journaling. Yep, and that's why my private clients, even people in treatment, some of those clients, I'll if they're up for it, I make them do it. I don't make them, I suggest it, and then I'll keep on them. Like, did you do it this morning? Did you do? Are you gonna do it tonight?
Hmm.
And they're like, God, Max, you just like don't. You're like the Energizer Bunny. You just don't give up, do you? I go, no. I go, you want to live a good life? This is how it starts. Simple things. Let's go at it. Let's do it. I'm here to help.
Let's go. But you can't do more work than somebody else, right?
Absolutely. I will never do more work than my clients ever. I learned that the hard way though, when I'm doing more work and I'm like, well, why are they having fun? And I feel like I want to just go take a nap for the rest of the day.
Right. So I have one question, and we'll wrap it up. I
All right.
have a sponsee that wants to do refuge recovery, the Buddhist based recovery, but I'm an AA sponsor, right? Do you think that it would be advantageous to combine the two in the process?
Absolutely.
Because I'm
Mindfulness.
telling him he can teach me more than I know in that realm, but
Absolutely.
he's in a sober living program that requires him to go through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous to
Right.
be in the program, and he hasn't been through the process. And I'm trying to tell him that we'll go through the process. Knowledge is power. So let's go through the progress or the process and find the similarities
Absolutely.
and do that.
Right. See, I went through the 12 steps first, right? And then I found mindfulness, which what refuge recovery really teaches about, right? Is uh mindfulness and stuff like that, it's made my recovery a lot better, right? Because I'm more present. I pay attention more. I'm not the ADD guy running around like trying to get everything done in one, right? It's allowed me to slow down and, as they say, smell the roses, right? Because it makes me become more aware, be present, right? So like you and I don't go through that where we're beating ourselves up because we didn't get our list done of 10 things. Let's just say 10 things, right? We only got 3 because, guys like me and you we don't need anybody. We're our own good punching bag. We'll start beating ourselves up. Well, you're not good enough. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're a piece of what.
Right.
So it may be beneficial to you to hear what he's learning in refuge as he's going through the steps with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was my thinking as well. But I like to check with people that have more knowledge, more experience than I do, because that adds to my repertoire. And in doing that, I'm practicing asking questions, getting feedback from somebody that knows more than me, because I do not know. Oh, that's another thing. I don't know everything. That's another thing that I learned through this process.
Yeah, I love what Pastor Pat says. Learning together from each other is what recovery is about, and truly what life is about, which is true, right? We could get more done learning from each other than pointing our fingers at each other going, you don't know what you're talking about, right? There's only my way. If you don't do it my way, then it's the highway. You know what I mean?
Hi, Bobby Lynn.
Yeah. Hi, sis. But even the big book, what does the big book tell us, Higgy, right? There's a part in there that says, look to religion, the clergy, to others to see where they may be right? Because we don't know everything, right? We don't, right? And
Johnny.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
What?
Really? Right. And right. And I like to say, like Bob Marley says, right? One love. That's what it's about, really.
Yeah.
Is all of us trying to get along, being there for each other, right? And here's what I'll end my thing with, right? And I love it on the AA literature, right? When anyone anywhere cries out for help, let the hand of AA be there. And for that, I'm responsible.
Absolutely.
Right. So, and the famous quote from Jesse, he says, the only time you should be looking down on someone is when you're helping. No, when you're
their shoes.
No, when you're helping them up. But that's a good one too. Hey, cool shoes. I love those Jordans, bro. No, no, but Jesse, I forget the name, but the good thing to know is, right, or that I love that quote because it says the only time you should looking down on someone is when you're helping them up.
That's right.
And we're all here to help each other.
Julie says, that's exactly what I did today. I called Max about struggling today, and he guided me in the right direction. That's my dude. So real quick, I want Pam's comment. It's very impactful. I spent a lifetime in hell, and it only took me 12 steps to get to heaven.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, there's a speaker that says, I loved how he always ended his
Amen, Johnny.
His speaking. Yeah, he's since passed away, so I steal it now when I speak at AA meetings. And I always say, AA didn't promise to let the gates of heaven open and let me in, but it did promise to open the gates of hell and let me out.
Absolutely. We know all about that struggle as well.
You're welcome, Judy. Anytime. I'm glad I could help.
So where can people find you? Where's your podcast? What are you doing with your podcast? What topics do you discuss? Do some self-promotion here. It's all you, bud.
All right. Well, if you want to work with me, you can reach me at maxnijst.org. You can find me on Facebook at max.nijst or the Fearless Happiness Ninja on Instagram. You can find my podcast on all the major platforms. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all of them. And if you do go listen to it's called the Fearless Happiness Podcast. Please go to iTunes and listen, and then give it a 5-star review so more people can find it. But I interview people of all types, people in recovery, people outside of recovery who have gone through challenges and shown the world that you can turn it around and overcome those challenges and become successful. So that's what I do on my podcast. Hopefully, you guys all take a listen. Go check it out. Like I said, it's on iTunes and Spotify. You catch it there. It's called But remember, the happiness has a Y, not an I. It's happy. HAPPYNESS.
And why is that?
Because happiness comes from here.
That's why.
Inside. That's why.
That's right. Thank you, Max. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I love you very much. Please give Lisa a kiss and a hug for me. I hope.
Well, let me tell Genesee real quick. My IG again is the Fearless Happiness Ninja. A mentor of mine gave me that nickname after I wrote my book. So you'll find me there.
Absolutely. Please follow Max on all social media platforms. He's available through Messenger on Facebook. He's like me. He's a recovery professional. If he doesn't message you back right away, he will. He responds to everyone. I guarantee you. And once you're in his circle of confidence, he's a great ally to have. I love you, bro. Thank you for being here. I always loved having you on. I really do.
I love you too, bro. Thank you for having me on.
Your book's on Amazon, Bobby says.
So check this out, everybody. I'm going to give you a little joke, right? Higgy and I were talking, right? And you hear it in the rooms, right? No, two sickies don't make a wellie, but in our cases, these two sickies make a wellie, and we had a great time today. So,
Johnny, I'll have you on anytime you'd like, sir. We've been through this journey for a long time as well. Many moons.
I forgot to tell you guys too, you can find my book on Amazon. I'm trying to lower the price, but I haven't figured that out yet. But it's the same as my podcast, Fearless Happiness, My Addiction, My Battles, My Recovery, and you can find it on Amazon.
Absolutely. Wealth of knowledge you are, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always love doing this with you, bro. And when you're in town again, you got a place to stay.
Absolutely. I still want to create that recovery event. The hot air balloons.
Dude, we got it right down here in Temecula, bro.
I know, man. I know. I got to do that.
COVID's over.
Does anybody want to go hot air ballooning and attend a recovery event? I do. I
want to jump out of a hot air balloon skydive with somebody. Let's do it.
Let's do that. David Sheet's been trying to get me to jump out of a plane for 2 years.
Oh, blast, bro. You got to try it.
I'm going to have to. I got to face that fear and just do it. So he said there's nothing like it.
No, and I've jumped at 18,000 feet. Wait till you do that one. Love you too, sis. There's only one place in California that'll allow you to do it, and that's in Santa Barbara. And I did it with a buddy of mine.
Donna Klodfelder, how are you? I love you. She wants to come. We may end up doing this, bud.
Yeah, let's make it a big recovery jump. Everybody's got to be sober to do it.
Absolutely. We'll start out with a hot air balloon and then go from there.
There you go.
I'm working my way up from roller coasters. I have a fear of heights, something bad.
Oh, man. Hey, you'll get rid of that fear if you do it.
I'm ready. The adrenaline rush. I love adrenaline.
I know. Jump at 18,000 feet, Higgy. You'll never need a pick-me-up ever again. You'll be on such a high for a long time. You'll never need meth, cocaine, or any of that. Trust me.
All right, we're going to jump off here. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in, for being here. If you would, please give us a share. Please go follow Max Nijst, Nijst. It's spelled like Nijst, but it's pronounced Nijst. Love you all. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.